The Knaast Heir by Luciana, Micas, Correa. Chapter 1. The Breeding Plan. That first morning sun was stunning after 6 months of night. Its rays made mesmerizing streaks in the sky as the crimson fingers of dawn bled the azure into pink and yellow. Feeling excited, General Hazug of the Renegades broke out of the heart of a volcano in the lands that belonged to Norway at year 5 of the first millennia AD. In his glee, the fallen angel did not care for controlling his fire, and the snow around the mountain peak rumbled in displeasure. However, the dangerous mountain stayed quiet. No explosion happened even if the demon general let out his inner fiery nature. He flew up to meet his legions of demonic soldiers in the blue sky, preparing his victory speech. His fellow generals were in the volcano yet, but the plan was a go. Hazug would never confess, but he was relieved. For a few moments during the meeting, he was afraid Ular would cut off the idea, but their leader agreed. The masses of renegades watched Hazug's lightning speed, allowing the blaze of their inner flames lend heat to the celestial expanse. Fire is the essence of every angelic being, and so are their weapons. The demon swords brought up orange hues to the clouds and declared the metaphysical nature of the crowd suspended in wait. The earth's sky is where the fallen angels live their condemned existence on earth. They don't need a home and sometimes accept humans' gifts, but the air is where they have their strongholds. Hazug's was in the coldest lands of the north. That was a weird day for the renegades since their downfall from the heavens. General Hazug was invariably in the worst likely character, making the explosive ascension unusual. Since they became outcasts, the abominable creature was never enthusiastic. He never enjoyed whatever fun was possible in their exile. Hazug's legions knew their leader as a somber general. Yet, that morning he was in an out-of-the-ordinary mood. He looked overjoyed. Little they know, General Hazug delighted in the view of their large group and the immense number of possibilities it meant. As if examining the contingents for the first time, he was proud. His eyes had a self-congratulatory gleam as they perused the horde. "We are millions and my battalions alone," the general thought. His wolfish grin spread wider and more elated as he beamed at the crowd. Then he drew his sword to call for their attention. The enormous mob quieted, the fidgeting among them ceased, and silence fell. Hazug's thunderous voice reached the ends of the gargantuan army. He put words to his feelings. "We got to earth as cast out losers." This throng of soldiers murmured, aggravated. Their commander was poking old wounds, and it was a treacherous game to play. The renegades were creatures who had nothing else to lose, and existed to kill and destroy. The leader's speech sounded like a rebuke. Hazug hated the humans and was violent and merciless, but they could never predict such attitude towards them. The words riled the demons up. Working to turn the mob into a cauldron of old hate and unforgettable despair, he went on. "Some of you wish you could move to the sacred city. You miss the Father's stability and power, but it is pointless. He will never forgive us. Don't pretend otherwise. All the generals know you regret your judgment when you decided to be by our side," he announced. No living thing could predict the after effects of such uncalled aggression. Colonel Forecta bared his teeth, and his eyes narrowed to crinkled slits. He split his attention between his general and his fellow soldiers. Whatever the mob did, he would be ready, so he drew his blades. The short dagger and the huge scimitar blazed as he located himself by his general. Hazug smiled at Forecta. His astute gaze regarded the fire in the weapons of his battalions. The thousands of flaming swords flared up in rage and fear. "We don't blame you for what happened," he bellowed. "We battled but lost. A few years passed, and our wounds are still fresh. If I remind you that, is to offer you an opportunity of revenge." The buzz among the companies grew. The officers twitched and muttered as Hazug's crooked smile turned his face into a mask of mischief. "That old hunger must return to our flames. I want you eager." When he shouted the old call to arms, the turmoil boiled up. The broad memories rattled the troops. The vile general sensed ire, nostalgia, despair. "Perfect," he told himself as he explained. "The Father gives the humans a second chance we never had. They can murder, live in debauchery, plunder, maim, and yet they will enter our city, the heavenly home we lost. The Father cut us from his power, so we needed to steal flames to survive. We became predators of our fellows, and the humans received gifts and protection. We lost everything. It is outrageous." The renegade's uproar was deafening. Hazug's words galvanized rage and murderous desires, so the devious speaker used animosity in his speech. "This was not an ordinary meeting. I flew from a war council." Forecta was so surprised his fists loosened. He forgot his weapons and his intention of standing by his general. "What for?" he blurted out. "I sought 5 other generals to unite forces with us, and we will give back. It will be memorable." Hazug silenced to allow the troops time to speculate over the names. The general dragged his hawkish gaze over the perplexed crowd. He was waiting for the reaction, and he did not need to wait long. One soldier, Captain Evsky, hollered a question, breaking the mounting tension. His strong and determined voice cut through the swelling noise. "Who are the other generals?" Hazug smirked. His eyes wandered with disturbing diligence to take inventory of his troops. They quieted once again under such scrutiny. He looked pleased to have their undivided attention and raised a fist. So punching the air, he numbered the vicious traits of satisfaction. "The boldest, most formidable, ruthless, and destructive leaders in the renegade's army will fight along with us. We have a plan to crush and slaughter millions, and we will carry it out under the law. The allegiance will have to watch and do nothing." The multitude roared. Their battle cries echoed, and thunder and lightning cut the sky. "Be proud, my legions. The idea was mine. Rejoice. You are the hordes under General Hazug. Your leader never forgets your humiliation and never gives up. I am offering you your revenge." The hordes were ready to jump into battle. Using their excitement, Hazug made the condemned council meeting play on the clouds. The memory was precise and meant death. The other generals assembled for the council, caused the soldiers to hoot and cheer. That group would deliver pain to their enemies. Gathered in the boiling lava chamber were Dera, the bat, and right beside him was the jaguar demon Skog. The most impressive of them was the flying serpent. His large, feathered, rainbow-like wings rested flat on his back as the creature waited on a flat crystal. The rings of his monumental round frame with black glittering scales were immovable. The hordes knew he could fly faster than lightning, and his veneer of quietness did not fool them. They had seen him in battle, and it was terrifying. The lord of the conference place was Orn, the eagle. He was the master over volcanoes, boiling water, and melted rock, and he stood as the host to the demonic meeting. He perched on a fine elevation, a few feet above the others. He talked first, chirping and trilling as his bird-like head bobbed. Hazug's proposal means trouble. I predicted the father's reaction if we join our skills and draw on them at once. Dara lifted a lip, showing his long fangs that hampered his rant. I gain nothing with your idea, Hazug. The evil general ignored the shutdown as Skog growled with mirth at the harsh words. Our bloodthirsty friend was never polite, but I can't deny his point. He kills anyway. And besides that, his followers believe themselves alive. Even if he drinks human dry and they lose their souls, they love him. Dara snorted. They are too stupid to see they are dead. What's the point in entering our plane to kill humans? I do it every day. Hazug smirked and did not seem to mind his comrade's lack of respect. Think about numbers, Dara. And you too, Skog. Together we can smash the body and the souls of millions. They will come to us of their free will. Orn screeched. I feel the same. I kill many when I burst one of my babies. Volcanoes are natural at spreading death. You destroy bodies, Orn. I want much more, Hazug said, turning to the only one who stayed mute, watching. What do you think, Hular? The most deadly among the fallen, who was also their leader, slithered closer. His massive cylindrical body created a lustrous black heap. A gentle whisper sounded as multicolored feathered wings fluttered. He reared his colossal head and hissed. His forked tongue caressed the air. Everything in the serpent general was charming, gentle, hypnotizing. His voice soothed. Don't take me wrong, Hazug. I empathize. You swore revenge. But you waited for thousands of years. I can't figure out why you seek your rage and why now. Hazug resisted the snake's power and measured his fellow general. You are so powerful, Ular, but you seem adapted to this situation. Your empire among the humans is so sophisticated. You enjoy their adoration too much. They make you lazy and forgiven. The serpent's vertical pupils locked on the also vertical ones of Hazug. Ulars were yellow and black magnets, revealing the creature's hypnotic ability. Trembling in the oblong depths was unbelievable suffering to his enemies. Every general inside the volcano watched the exchange full of reluctant admiration. Hazug laughed the offense, laughed in the air. He did not flinch when the most powerful of the renegades flapped his wings and towered over him. The others froze, waiting to see severe punishment happen. But Euler only responded in his calm voice. I am not lazy, Hazug. I can command the human senses and dominate the mind. I can do it to humans or angels. But free will is the specific institute the Creator enforces. What use does the scale have for me after the free will law? You spend your time reveling in the human's worship, and you don't see what happens in the world you learn. Otherwise, I never rest. Skog growled. This kind of words will take you nowhere, Hazel. Stop boasting or insulting us. Skog, Hazel smirked. I see I struck a sore spot because you also have your empire in the forest. The craving you rise in the humans is daunting, Hazug. You turn humans into soul leeches, slaves of their desires, who destroy themselves slowly and painfully. It is cruel revenge you take against the Father every day. If you don't think it is enough, you can move on with your plans all by yourself. You don't require our help. Thank you, Skog. You are a flatterer. However, even if our unique skills are powerful, each one of us alone has to face the reality. We are not enough against the more powerful allegiance generals. They have their fire replenished. We don't. Euler is the most atrocious and the only one who can win alone. Silence enveloped every creature in the cave. It was not a secret that the entire creation feared Euler. Added that to their obvious situation, Hazug stated facts. However, the serpent caught Hazug's manipulation of complimentary words. The smart general was baiting him. Euler ignored it. He also pretended the other's fearful reaction when Hazug emphasized that his power did not happen, and reasoned. Let's focus on the matter that brought us here. I still don't follow why you need us, Hazug. Dara glanced at the formidable snake general. He always avoided their leader's eyes. I agree with Lard. Explain yourself, Hazug. The time for our revenge is now. The Father's patience with the humans is wearing thin. It's a matter of time before his wrath falls on them. The fallen angels beamed, and Skog growled. Yeah, I delight watching the allegiance disappointments. The Father and his armies look after them, and the vile bags of dirt join us. Hazug nodded. You answered Dara's question, Skog. The suitable time for my project is now. We can throw in a considerable punch. Olar hissed a warning signal. I am no fool. I have the only skill the Creator wants, excuse if put to use. What you ask me is to sabotage myself, Hazug. General Hazug knew it was coming. He pried his eyes off the monstrous black snake and scanned the other generals' faces. Distrust and curiosity surrounded him. Eular's oblique eyes met Hazug's again. A metallic, mesmerizing gleam spelled mistrust. Hazug explained to pacify his horrid pal. I don't expect you to do it. None of us will use our talents, not in person. I intend to prepare a warlock to do it instead. I want us to have an heir. Dara gurgled a hoarse laughter. Ha 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 ha. You lost your mind. An heir will bring us the Watcher's fate. Those fools sired the children with women and got eternal shackles for their pleasures. Living in Earth's sky and away from the sacred city is bad, but I still have some fun. The others nodded, but to their oblique eyes gleamed with interest. I want to have an heir. But the heir is right, too. Do you have an answer for the problem, Hazug? I do. Silence felt like a blanket, making Hazug smile. If we possess a human man, we can share a very small portion of our flames with the child. And if we keep a lineage, we can repeat it over generations until we have a powerful heir. It is brilliant, Lars shouted. You were brilliant, Hazug. I apologize. Maybe you were right after all. I should have had the idea, but I was comfortable. Hazug felt proud. Euler was the best of all angels, except for Michael, who was even more powerful and intelligent. Euler's accepting the idea and considering it good enough to be his was high praise. I have to say, Hazug, you surprised me. You never enjoyed a human woman, never got close to them, and now you want to breed with them. I am an angel, they are dirt. Glorify the animals, nothing else. However, the Father loves them, and to hurt him, I would breed with any beast. Ular hissed. Let's do it. Dara lifted his skeletal hand. The child will have our flames, but he or she won't be able to use the power. Humans' bodies do not stand so much fire. Our hair will burn to death. I know more about them than any of you. Ular tilted his head. Again, Dara is right, but I guess we have an answer to that as well. Peril is the answer, Hazug replied. He is stumbling around the universe in that meteor because of his games with Alexander. He can't do anything but ruin his sleep right now. Skog reminded them, shrugging as the others laughed. Ular sang his happy song, and the other generals turned, entranced, and unable to control themselves. The hypnotic ability of the renegade general was irresistible. He will be back to Earth in about 1,000 years, he said, breaking the song power. If Peril possesses the child, he can harness the fire power. He can do it. Will he want to do it? Orne screeched the question. I wouldn't run the risk of another prison time. Euler turned to Hazug with mirth in his yellow eyes. And the answer to that is... He left the word hanging, and Hazug laughed. It must be a man, a gorgeous, strong, intelligent, and opinionated man. Now you did it, Dara nodded. Peril can't resist such a man. If this man comes to exist, our powerful fellow will be eager to do it. Ular said, well, you are brilliant. Understanding the last barrier was down, Hazug roared his call to arms, and the others replied with theirs. The new war was on, and the breeding plan would be a success. Hazug knew it.